So welcome back. This is really the only slide for this practice session, and it's really the only exercise, but it's quite an intense one. So I'll walk you through the different lines, but then feel free to pause and do this at your own pace, really. So the first line is obviously quite straightforward: date and time frame. You need to be realistic about what you can achieve within a 3 months or half a year period. The roadmap typically are for each quarter, but you might be able to spread them further out if you have better ideas over the next 18 months. It really depends on how fast you want to go and you're able to move, and also how frequently you need to come up with decision points, for example. So typically I would put a quarter in each of the time frame. The name of the release of the version is really there for consistency and for aligning everyone on the same page. Use that as an opportunity to play around with your team a little bit. I would say use somebody's pet or favorite city or some fun stuff. It's a good way of getting some team effort in there. The most important part is the third line here, is the goal. What are you trying to achieve? Which problem are you solving? And this is now that you're going down a more granular level. So you're going down from the big goal to the smaller goals. And it could be to improve, to facilitate search, or to give access to people to the right resources at the right time. It might be to be able to direct users with a geolocalization element of the support available, and that will be a map. It might be that you have some security-led, e-safety or safeguarding issues to resolve, so that might be one of your goals. It might be that you'll have a big marketing campaign, so to increase the number of users, to reduce the number of bounce back, for example. And it could simply be that you want to improve the performance of your site, for example. So you might have a goal here that is about the number of bugs, and that's perfectly fine. Features is where you then translate the goal into a feature. And obviously to do that work, you're going to need to do a bit of experiment and a bit of design thinking step by step. So I hope you've done the other course in the program on how to get from, translating a goal into a feature. There would be quite a lot of research involved and design and prototyping and mocking things up, but really you want to start having a sense of the high-level features that you need. So it might be the search function, it might be a map element, it might be a database integration, it might be adding a plugin to support better performance, or a newsletter feature, or a CRM integration if it's about marketing and acquiring new users. Really key to understand your measures. This is the next line down. So for each of those features, how you're going to measure success, and how will you determine whether the goals have been met. So again, if the goal is to offer geolocalized support, and you want to implement that with a map that people can tag where the resources are available, are you going to measure this by how many people are using the map, how many resources you have available on the map? Typically page viewed traffic on the website is a good measure. There's lots of different tools around analytics to consider in here, but also different kind of you can have user feedback as a measure. You could have your team's feedback as a measure. Are we being more productive, or are we increasing the performance of our sites, of our team? So you've got to think about the qualitative and the quantitative here in this space. What kind of resource are needed? So again, you need to align this to each of the the feature. Do you need specific skills, for example? So if it's a e-safety issue or or security issue, do you need somebody who's a security architect to look into this? If it's somebody who is an API developer, for example, that is required, how much is it going to cost? How many days are you going to need that person to come in and support you? We talked about in a previous Beyond program about estimation, and I would encourage you to come back to that and think about how you're estimating the value of each feature and the work you need. And then ultimately, it's worth mentioning here, is there any big IT requirement or integration needed? Because that is a big job, particularly for teams who haven't got a strong tech capability, to consider whether that's needed, and whether that might delay the product, whether there might be a hurdle to your rollout. So that's really is the framework. I hope that's clear enough. I would say have a go at filling in all of these different fields, and then I'm looking forward to having the live call with you all so we can go through that in more detail and asking questions. I will challenge you. I will be able to give you feedback and maybe just improve on your first or second draft. So I look forward to it, and see you soon.